Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson, and this is Jectives Typography News number 39. Today is Friday the 13th, March 13th to be specific, 2026, and we made it through the first week of three times per week. Almost we made it through. In about an hour we'll make it through this week. Yeah, so this was the first week that I switched to 3 times reporting the news per week. I think it has been a moderate success. I'm glad that we've got all these done. I do think 100% this is the right choice. This is the right direction for the channel, to go from 1 day a week to 3 days a week. It just feels more, it feels more like the news, right? News happens every single day. So I'm glad that we can get this 3 days a week at least. Got another great episode for you. I'm really excited about the new release that we're going to take a deep dive into today. It's coming from brand new foundry, Wicked Letters, being published on Future Fonts. We'll get to that about like midway through the episode. You know where the new releases come if you're a regular around here. I have a few different featured stories. I'll go ahead and run through these for you real quick. I've noticed some trends and changes in the font licensing arena of this industry. Dalton Mag had a great quote a week or two ago, and it said something like, if you're familiar with font licensing, you probably hate font licensing, something like that. We'll get to it. I think that is a common sentiment. Font licensing drives everyone crazy, everyone involved, the people that want to purchase the license to the font, the people that want to license the font, the foundries, the marketplaces. It's a mess for everybody. So I'm going to hit on a few things that they're going on there that I've noticed this week, and good things. Creative Fabrica has some news this week that will surprise probably no one. The Adobe CEO is stepping down. That's kind of surprising to me, but he has been there for 18 years. Typedrive Commerce was going on today. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then, like I said, I've got a new release from Wicked Letters. Going to go on a quick preview of an upcoming font coming from a new type designer, or not a new type designer, a new release from a new-ish type designer, a recent graduate. Creative Bloq put out an article about the 6 best font identifiers. I don't want to throw shade, but a lot of articles from Creative Bloq aren't really, I don't know, that well vetted, or I don't know how to say it necessarily. I don't put a lot of emphasis or weight into the things that they publish, but I do think that this is the topic that I want to talk about for a while. So we're gonna quickly look at that and then kind of preview some future content that I would like to do with these font identifiers. But they did give me some that I wasn't familiar with, so maybe there will be some new tools for you as well. Speaking of tools, FontBob has like another cool demonstration of what is possible. We're going to get to that at the very end, but it is crazy what Carl is managing to put up on FontBob. I am once again just completely blown away. And then I'm going to send you off. I've got 2 different options for videos to point you in a direction of. One is well, actually, we've talked about both on the channel before. One's going to be from Remedy 667, perfect for Friday the 13th. And the other is St. Bride's Library, because they dropped 12 new videos this week within like the last 24 hours. So really great stuff going on in the industry. It's a good time to be enthusiastic about typography. Let me go ahead and switch my screen and we will get into this. Once again, I need to bring up my browser. I apologize. Okay, we'll get this right one of these times. So the first thing I want to talk about is some licensing for good. I think that I misplaced this. There it is. Okay, let me switch to the screen. Boom. Okay, so I noticed 2 of these this week. I think if it was only 1, I might not have actually reported on it, because I did see 1 and I was kind of like, huh, that's cool, that's interesting. And then I saw the second one and I was like, okay, like 2 isn't a trend per se, but maybe these are the first 2 dominoes to fall in this. I'm going to start it with Mostar Design Type Foundry. We've reported on them. I've reported on them quite a few times on the channel. Legendary foundry at this point. There's not a lot extra to say about this. But the reason I'm going to report on them first is because they've been doing this the longest. They were actually doing this a couple of years ago, and they've just adjusted their license just recently to update it to include more people. So for the last, I think 2 years, I think they noted, at least 2 years, they have been doing a nonprofit license. So if you were like a nonprofit doing certain specific things, let me see. It said, some nonprofit organizations do essential work for our society, often in areas where welfare states or existing structures fall short. So that was the community that he was, that the Mostar type foundry, Mostar design type foundry. Can we just call it Motyfo? Like they've got it up there. So Mostar Design was giving away free licenses to these specific nonprofits to help them, further causes that the foundry found to be good for society. This has been expanded, so I'll go ahead and click through these because it's been expanded just as of this week, and they are expanding it to, there it is right there. You can contact them if you are one of these organizations and you want to use one of their typefaces. I can give you a quick preview of some Mostar Design. I'm not sure. I guess I could have done it from their Instagram, but there it is, Motyfo. If you're not familiar with their fonts, you probably are. They created Sophia, right? Yeah, Sophia Pro. Am I crazy? Maybe I am crazy. No. Mostar Design, there it is. Okay. But yeah, most recently we were reporting on Paris Co. recently. You will be familiar with their fonts. If you have Adobe fonts, you will be familiar. But this licensing program is going to give access to climate action, biodiversity protection, autism and dyslexia, literacy, access to education, social equality, food security, energy sobriety, and renewable energy. Basically, anyone that is a part of an organization that is supporting the common good in the eyes of this foundry. That's the thing with these. These are all subjective, obviously, but he goes into like why this matters, why they're doing it, and I just think that it's really interesting. I try to be neutral when I report on these things, so I'm going to try to do my best to do that. I know that I don't always do it, but I think that it's an interesting trend to watch for. Like I said, 2 instances of this isn't necessarily a trend, but I do think these could be the first 2 dominoes to fall. We see a lot of foundries using their end user license agreements to prevent people from doing certain things. Yeah, personally, I know if I ever put out a typeface, I wouldn't want it to be used for like political, religious, government. Like I would just put a blanket, like you can't use this for that. And a lot of foundries do similar things. Things that they don't want their typeface to be used for, they can decide no one can use it for this. I think that that's fair, but I think it's interesting to see people doing the opposite, like we're seeing here with Mostar Design, where they're saying, hey, these places can use the fonts for free. The second one here is Spoke Type. And here it is. As a reaction to certain events and attitudes around the world, Spoke has an announcement to make. So this happened almost simultaneously. And there might be other foundries that I haven't noticed that are doing this. If you know of one, let me know. But Spoke Type, Teo, hopefully I'm saying that right. Teo. I've spoken with him before, but I'm not sure how to say his name actually. Protesting against war, protesting against violence, violations to basic human rights, and protesting against inequality can use Spoke typefaces for free. So you can get a free license, contact them right there. I think that this is really interesting for the reasons that I just said. Like I said, Mostar has been doing this for a long time. Spoke Type just made this announcement. And I will continue to report on this story as it develops, but I think it's worth kind of just throwing out there and letting people know that, like, if you do have if you are part of one of these organizations, go check out go check out these two foundries. You can get access to some incredible fonts. I've reported on both of these foundries before. And I don't think that you would be disappointed with getting access to these really, really nice typefaces. The next the next licensing thing that I'd like to talk about, let me go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to get a drink of water. The next licensing thing that I wanted to talk about, I saw on Type Drawers this week. So this isn't like a big public announcement or anything like that. But Scott Briggs here, I'm going to go ahead and open this up to give you some background. Scott Briggs has, for the last decade, been the head of operations at, let me get my face off the screen. I apologize. I know I'm going to get in the way. Scott Briggs, for the last decade, has essentially been the head of operations, or he's worked at the Northern Bloq. It's a type foundry, the Northern Bloq, for the last decade. I'm not sure how long he's been head of operations there, but he announced on Type Drawers this week. If you are a type nerd, you probably heard me mention many times typo.social. Type Drawers is another really great place. It's a forum. It's not super active. Like it's not like Reddit where you're going to see 20 posts on a subreddit a day for typography or something like that. But it's pretty active, and it's got a lot of names that you will recognize on here. So he says, after 10 years with the Northern Bloq as head of operations, I'm starting my own business to help type designers foundries with commercial side of business. One aim here. I'm going to talk about some other similar businesses in a second, but his is very, very focused, which I appreciate. His focus is to help foundries handle licensing opportunities confidently and convert inquiries into well-structured, high-value agreements. And then he lists some of the things that he's going to be providing and the contact information there. I will note right here, Doug Wilson, someone that I have interviewed and talked about on the channel before. He says, congrats on the launch, along with myself, Type Advisor. We've talked about that. And Joanna and Paley launching Legato Studio. I love seeing more people with very specific skills helping out type designers and foundries. In my opinion, the more, the merrier, so all the best. I completely agree with this sentiment. And let me go ahead and turn my face back on so I can talk to the camera for a second here. I completely agree with this sentiment, and I really like to see the camaraderie going on amongst people. Hopefully that it's genuine. But I'm noticing two things here. We've talked about this 3 times. We've talked about this kind of thing 3 times since the beginning of the year. So I think that we can accurately say that 3 within the first 3 months of the year can mark a trend with this, and that is people within the type industry. I don't know if I want to say selling picks and shovels. That would probably be more like the font software, but like doing things outside of designing type to support type. And there are a lot of places that do this, like the type founders do this, font bros do this, marketplaces do this kind of thing where they can negotiate licensing and stuff for you. But not everyone wants to be acquired. Not everyone wants to be a part of like a very specific marketplace. A lot of places, people want to sell their own typefaces, do it on their own website, maybe using FontDo or Shopify or something like that. And these types of people, Scott Briggs, Legato Studio, Type Advisor with Doug Wilson, these types of things almost serve as like an agent or manager or something, like for a very specific purpose. Doug and Legato Studio, they're a little bit wider focused, but Scott Briggs here seems to be very focused on licensing, and I did reach out to him to see if I could do if we can have a conversation about that, because if for anyone that's been here before, that one of my goals for this year 2026 is to better understand licensing. So I've been talking to marketplaces, individual designers, foundries, trying to learn more because I want to hear all the perspectives and have a much more educated, nuanced opinion on licensing in font licensing. Because I've made my opinions very well known over the last year of reviewing typefaces. That's the last thing I talk about every time I look at a font, is the license. But I've gotten feedback from foundries and designers that you know, wanted to kind of push back on my opinion on that a little bit and try to clarify some things about the licensing. So that is a goal of mine, to become more nuanced. If you're out there and you want to have a conversation about it, get a hold of me, curtis@jectives.com. Go ahead and email me, message me on Instagram, whatever you want to do. But let's go ahead and move on to the next story here. The next one, I did want to mention Dalton Mogg does have a new license as well. So they are, this is one of the stories that I cut out when I missed the 2 weeks of reporting. Dalton Mogg does have a new license that's very nice. I'm going to reach out to them because I think they're another one that would be worth talking to. They've simplified their license in a way that makes a lot of sense. And I just want to have that conversation before I present that here. But I know that I mentioned a quote from them, so I wanted to go ahead and bring that up now so that it makes sense as to why I brought that up. I am going to open up a screenshot here for you real quick because I don't want to open my email, but they did send out an email, and it is from Creative Fabrica. Let's see if we can make this nice and big here. Whoa, okay. Oh, sorry, I'm still on the screen. This is why we don't need the face cam, Curtis. Screen cap, there we go. Okay, so Creative Fabrica, if you don't know, it's like a marketplace, like I'll just show you. Let's go here. Creative Fabrica. It's a font place that I'm not super. It's not a font place for me. I'm not the target audience for a marketplace like this. It's not just fonts. It's a creative assets and things like that. I think you could do subscriptions, then you can get access to a bunch of fonts, a bunch. It looks like 3D printing and images and things like that. A while back, they put out this, and it was supposed to be an AI font generator. They have an AI studio here. Looks like you can generate all kinds of stuff now. But they had this AI generated font. It's called Font Generator, and it just made AI fonts. This came out probably when I first started reporting Typography News, and I kind of looked at it and it didn't work. So it doesn't surprise me that it's closing. You can see these are the AI generated fonts on the screen right now. Like, look at this one here. The capital A is just completely like, what's going on here? I don't know. But whenever I tried to do this, you couldn't prompt it. Like, you can do free things. Like, it was I'm being very subjective here, but subjectively, in my opinion, as a professional, this was a mess. And I don't think there was ever designed professionals, but I tried to play around with it a little bit just so I could report on it, and it just wasn't possible. I think, this is my educated guess here, I think that they were using the typefaces that were uploaded to the website, so you can see what those are, and that's kind of where you're getting like your base for what they were building from. It's entirely possible they were using fonts from somewhere else, but my guess would be that they used the ones that were uploaded, so you can see what kind of typefaces are on there, and you can see what they're kind of pulling from. In terms of intellectual property and things like that, I feel like they could probably put that in the agreement with the people uploading to their website, that they could use those to train on much more easy than they could just grab fonts from anywhere. Because I'm not even sure, maybe you could probably get like Still Open Font license and do it with. It doesn't matter. I think that this is an interesting story because it could point to two things. One, it could just be that the app was so bad that it wasn't worth the API credits or whatever they were paying to use the AI. Like, it just wasn't worth the server cost because people tried to use it like me one time. It never worked, so they just never touched it again. And then they're paying for the server costs and stuff like that, and it's just not working out. It could also be that people just don't want this. People just don't want AI fonts. Both of those are entirely possible, and I did reach out to Creative Fabrica to find out like which one of those it is, if either one of those are the answer. But yeah, so we'll find out if they reply. There's a very good chance that they won't, but either way, font generator from Creative Fabrica, this AI font maker is going to be gone at the end of the month. So if you do want to check it out, you have a few weeks to do it, a couple of weeks to do it, but I would say use your time. I would say subjectively use your time more wisely. But if you want to try to do something, if you already have fonts on there, you need to download them now because they're going to disappear. But I think that's all the time we need to spend on this one. Next up is kind of a big story. And I'm going to give some love here to The Verge because this is where I originally saw this. Quick little blurb here. The Verge just says, Adobe CEO, let me see how to pronounce this, Shantanu Narayan is stepping down after 18 years. That's all it says. Got some links, so I went ahead and went to the official links here. I'm going to get to those. But the reason I bring up The Verge too is because if you scroll down just a little bit, you get the general sentiment of what's going on here. I'm going to try to be super objective here, so I'm just going to read you I'm just going to point out a few of the comments. As you can see, I use Affinity, but I also use Adobe fonts. So I have Creative Cloud, so I do use Adobe fonts. But people want the ability to purchase standalone versions again. I'm gonna tell you right now, never gonna happen. The subscription model has made them billions and billions of dollars. There's no reason for them to switch. That'll never happen. I probably shouldn't say never. There's a non-zero chance that it could happen. I don't ever see it happening. They've just made too much money on it. Yeah, but you can see people on here like making jokes about it. So he oversaw everything I hate about Adobe now. Someone says one of my least favorite decoder guests ever. No wonder the products didn't change. Same CEO. No one here has anything positive to say. And that's kind of general sentiment for the entire internet. So that's not entirely surprising. You know, like most comments on the internet, I block YouTube comments on the internet. Like I have this right here. What is this called? Unhook, YouTube Unhook. And I just make it so I can't see comments. If I want to see them, I'll go turn it on. But like comments in general just aren't great. So take that with a grain of salt. But he did announce here at the earnings call that he is leaving after 18 months, doing a bit of, or not 18 months, 18 years, doing a bit of a transition as they find the next successor and stuff like that. But he will remain as chair of the board. So still an important position at Adobe. So he's still going to have his hand in things a bit, but yeah, he's stepping down. He's been there since 2007. He's been the CEO. So a long time running, impressive to be the CEO for that long. But I think that Adobe very much needs some new blood and some new ideas. And I hope that they can figure that out because competition is good. I'm not an Adobe hater, even though I don't use Adobe design software anymore, but just put that on your radar again. That will be a developing story, you know, as the successor is named and things like that. We'll find out more. Quick note here about an event going on. Let me go ahead and check chat. I appreciate those of you lurking, not commenting, but I appreciate you guys for being here. I know it's Friday. Typedrive Commerce is going on right now. If you're not in New York City, if you're watching this, if you're watching this right now, I don't think you're going to be at this. But this is held today in New York City. And the reason I'm going to point this out is because I think that we might be seeing some things come out of this. You might be seeing stories and things like that. Some of this might be getting posted to YouTube. I think Type Directors Club typically holds on to their stuff for a little while and posts it like later. So maybe we won't see this right now, but something to look forward to. And if you check out these, if you see someone you like on here, go check out their socials and stuff like that. They might be posting clips or insights and stuff from the event. I think that even if we don't actually attend the event, I still think it's important to pay attention to the conversation going on around it, because these are the things that drive the industry, these sorts of conferences and interactions and presentations and things like that. So it's always nice to pay attention, even if you're just like peripherally engaged. I think I got it that time. Next up, though, we're going to get into some new typefaces. The first one here is not out yet, but I think that it's pretty cool. A recent graduate from Type West, that is Letterform Archive's type design program, and it's coming from Dominica. Hopefully I'm saying that kind of right. Domi. She put out this preview. It says, "Here's my first type made at Type West during the first term, a revival of Antiqua number 6. Found in, I don't know how to say this name, Kaziansky Brothers Specimen, circa 1929. So almost 100 years ago, this font was put out, and she is reviving it. I think that it is nice to see what new designers are doing, where their interests lay. She's a recent graduate, 2025, from the Type West program, and you could see this looks solid. If this was released by any foundry right now, I would report on this and be like, yeah, that looks nice. I did talk to her briefly on Instagram. This is going to come out later this year. Right now it's in a state where there's no kerning or anything. People can get it if they request it, but I think that you'd really have to do a lot of work with it if you were using a font with no kerning built into it right now. But I wanted to point this out. I've talked about this in the last few episodes. I love that we're seeing more and more type designers and foundries include their inspiration, their references, and stuff like that. So she says right off the bat, this is a revival typeface. I think that's what Type West does. They graduate with a revival and like an original, and it's nice to see this. So you know that it's already a revival, but it's still nice to see the references specifically here. She's got 5 different ones. I'm sure there was more than that. I think that's probably one of, and I have no affiliation with Letterform Archive, but I think that that's probably one of the bigger benefits that the Type West program has if you're in the US on that side of the country, or I think that they can do it online as well. But if you are in the US and you're near San Francisco, they have an actual archive that you can go through and you can look at these revivals and stuff like that. And that's something that a lot of type designers, you'd have to travel to do that. You wouldn't have the same kind of access. So I think that's kind of cool. I would, when I go back to the US, I'm definitely going to make a trip up there. It's not too far from Las Vegas. But you can see the full alphabet here. It looks very nice. Yeah, love to see it. And just a quick little shout out there. But it is available upon request. So if you're like really in love with this right now and you are fine with working through that, go ahead and check her out on Instagram. Linked in the description. All the stories are linked in the description. No sponsorships, no affiliates this week. But yeah, just they're there for your convenience. And she actually has a YouTube video of this right here that has some really cool audio and stuff. I don't want to play it here because I don't want to get a copyright strike, but she's got a YouTube channel as well. I didn't link that, but you might be able to find it via her website. I'm going to get a drink because this next one is a big one, and it's really fun. So I am going to take my face off the screen for this one because I definitely don't want to be in the way, and we're going to be looking at a lot of details. Let me go ahead and get this open. There we go. Okay, so this is on Future Fonts. Let me go ahead and give my typical spiel about Future Fonts as I close all of these open tabs. Future Fonts, if you purchase a typeface license from Future Fonts, so this one here is $30, 30 US dollars. If you purchase this license that comes with one weight right now, as the font is developed, you will get all of the updates for free. Typically, the price does increase, not always, but typically the font price will increase as the typeface is expanded. So right now it's a single weight, comes in Latin, comes in Georgian, but next is going to be expanding the weights, turning this into a variable font, and possibly, it says there, possibly adding a cursive style. So she doesn't have like V1, V2, V3, like it's not roadmap like that, but this is just kind of the general like what's to come. I am going to switch over to her Instagram because as you can see, Future Fonts does have nice high resolution photos, but they do load a little bit slow. So here is Anna right here. Anna is the founder of Wicked Letters. And as you can see right here, this is a new foundry on Future Fonts. Anna is not new to the game though. She has, let me go ahead and read you some stats real quick while we're looking at her profile photo here. She has worked with Type Together on Future 100, Rosetta Type Foundry. She's worked on Adapter, East of Rome. She worked on Kalev, Dynamo. She worked on Diatype and Typotheque. She worked on Nocturno, and there are probably even more if we go and look at those. What you're looking at right now, though, this is Ottia. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It's Georgian. I think, according to Claude, I probably should have asked Anna. According to Claude, it's pronounced Ottia. My American voice wants to say Ottia, but I think that it's actually Ottia. And you can see these are some really fun specimens. I pointed this out to her. I've got some great insights about these because we did have a good conversation about the typeface, but I just want to give you a look at what this is. We're going to go through it all again. Don't worry. So this is Ottia. Let me go ahead and get my stats up on the screen. By Anna. Anna, I'm not going to try to pronounce your name because I don't want to say it terribly, but you guys can see right up here at the top, right there. And this typeface has 255 glyphs right now. It's got Latin, basic Georgian. Just one static weight right now. It's this one that you're looking at. You can purchase from Future Fonts, as we saw. It's going to be $30. It does have a great license. You can see here, desktop, web, and app are all included for that. You can read the full license to get like all the details on it, but I looked at it. You can use it for logos. You're good. Basically, just don't do anything dumb and you'll be fine. Don't redistribute. Don't copy it and pretend that you made it or something like that. But let me get to some of the questions here that I asked her. Oh shoot, let me pull up my screenshot. I have a screenshot of our conversation. And I have some extra images and stuff that are not included on this. I apologize. Let me see if I can find the comments here. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to be turning my head a lot to read this, but I'm going to go ahead and put my face on the screen anyway, since we're going to be staring at kind of a static screen here. Got to make myself a tiny bit bigger. So I asked her 3 questions. I asked her why the name of the typeface. This was pretty easy. What the name of the book was. I actually it wouldn't have mattered if she told me what it was called. But it translates to over 9 mountains, a phrase meaning like very, very far away, very far away. But it's from a Georgian author called Ottia. EOS. I'm not gonna try to say it. It's this name right here, the name of the typeface, but only with 1 T. So that's where the name comes from. She added the T. She said, I can't say the naming was entirely original on my part, as I kept the author's name. However, I did change the spelling a bit. I added the second T because I love the visual rhythm of the repeated stems. So you can see the TT. Let's go ahead and look at this one, the TT right there. I agree, that looks nice. And she said that she's sticking with the name for now, but she might change it in the future. I don't think you should change it, Anna. I think this is a great name, and I think that it's a great homage to the inspiration. I love to see that. I do have the trial version of this, but I also have these 2 images that she gave me. So here is the reference image for the cover of the book, and you can see, if you have a keen eye, you could see some of these colors coming up again. You can see the orange there coming into play, and it does feel quite like it's doing an homage to the original. But she clearly is doing her own thing with this. Where are we at? Here it is, right here. She's clearly doing her own thing with this. Let's see. I guess I should have put this on there at the same time. So this is Georgian right now, is what you're looking at. And you can see some of the original sketches here. I apologize. My face is on the screen again. You can see some of the original sketches here. She told me, I asked her, did she start with the Latin or did she start with the Georgian? She said, I started out with the Georgian heavyweight, initially envisioning a single style family. Halfway through, I saw its potential and began developing the Georgian regular and Latin sets simultaneously. Since my experience usually involves designing Georgian extensions for existing Latin faces, I've often felt boxed in by preset parameters. Okay, this is me talking here. At all of those things, all of those foundries and projects that she worked on before, a lot of those she was doing the expansions for, like Futura 100. That typeface has every language you can imagine under the sun for Futura, and she designed the Georgian version of that. That's what she's been specializing in, and it's what a lot of people reach out her to do, as far as I can tell. So let's continue here. She says, I've often felt boxed in by preset parameters. Of course, if you're working on a typeface that someone else has already designed and then you're just making the Georgian style of that makes sense. In this case, the process felt like a true collaboration and compromise between both scripts, which was a fascinating fascinating experience. She says, I won't lie, the fact that it's a display typeface rather than a text one made that balancing act a bit easier for me. Yeah, I am going to show you right now. This is the Latin characters right here. And look at this M. Look at these curves on the M and the N. Now, I do not read or speak Georgian. As far as I know, it's a unicase typeface. These two different lines here, I think, are different scripts. So you can see they're pretty much the same, but this would be one alphabet on the top and one alphabet on the bottom. Don't take that as gospel. That's just my understanding of it. But you can see this M-shaped character right here. Probably definitely not an M. I don't know. But you can see those same sort of curves are coming into the Latin. So what we're seeing here is basically the complete opposite of what she has typically been asked to do on projects. She comes in on Futura 100. I should have pulled that up. We actually do have the full versions of Futura 100. She comes in on a project like Futura 100 and you're looking at the Latin. And this is what a lot of type projects that have international, not international, but have like non-English speaking Latin languages or non-Latin in general, scripts and things like that. People start with the Latin and they build out from there. So I think that's why when you look at Ottia here, when you look at this, it doesn't look like anything that you've seen before. Like there are typefaces that have kind of these rounded terminals on here. You see these, but everything's very sharp in the corners and where the stem meets this, the bowing of the main stem isn't, there's no bowing of the stem like hobo or something like that, like you can see the H here, it's very straight. It's not, but it does kind of have that vibe because of these concave, is it convex, these convex terminals on here. Concave goes in, right? And convex goes out. These bulging terminals, we'll say that. They're not rounded, but they kind of bulge out a little bit. Otherwise, a lot of it is kind of standard sans serif, but then you get to something like the K here with these curving arms and legs. You get to the M here with the bowed legs on it. And she's also built in some nice subtle ink traps here on the M and the N. You can see those there. So clearly a very detail-oriented design here. Paying attention to how this would actually be used in print or on the screen, rather than just making display typeface that isn't quite as versatile. And I do think when this ends up getting fully developed, this is going to be a pretty versatile typeface, because even though she's calling this a display typeface, which I completely understand. I understand where that perspective of this, but I think this is the display typeface that almost bridges that gap. For the right brand, this could be a workhorse. I don't have any doubt about that. I think that at small sizes, this would still be legible. This is the trial, so I'm not going to set it in body copy, anything like that. I would like to see the other styles develop, the other weights and things like that before we really push it to its limits. But you can see you've even got a little bit of ink trap, or maybe that's just the curve of the stroke there going on with the D. But so you can kind of see the H here. It's got a little bit of more of a calligraphy. Maybe that's where I was feeling that a little bit of hobo vibe. But aside from those things, like there's minimal contrast to this. I've just never seen anything quite like this. And I think the reason we're getting that is because this began as a Georgian typeface. You can see these are her original sketches right here. She said, don't judge them too harshly, but you can see on the left here, we have the original, the inspiration. On the right, we have the first sketches when she was starting out with this heavy, what did she call it? Heavy? Yeah, Georgian heavyweight. And then we can see how this develops into Georgian here. And then she did these two simultaneously. So she was doing the Latin and the Georgian at the same time. And they go together beautifully. Let's stop looking at my stuff in Affinity and let's look at her beautiful specimens here, because this is the last thing that I asked her about. I said that I really, really like the specimens. And I asked specifically about this chicken, this rooster right here. She said, the chicken's actually from an illustration I did a while back, and I just decided to repurpose it for this specimen. I've always had fun coming up with silly phrases for my projects. The more ridiculous, the better. This specific design is about a punk rock chicken band called Night Crowing. And she said, I have to give credit to my copywriter friend for the name. He occasionally helps me out with these kind of absurd copy ideas. But these are the kind of things, these specimens are the kind of things that set typefaces apart. I often see on the typography subreddit, people saying like, how do you make your font stand out? How do you like get noticed? What drew me into this initially were the specimens. And then you stop and you look at the typeface and you're like, ooh, yeah, like that. There's something about this that just feels good and it feels different. This doesn't feel like a typeface that we review on this channel every single week. And there's nothing wrong with those. We need those too. But I'm really excited to see this one developed. This is Ottia from a new type foundry, Wicked Letters, from a very talented type designer, Anna. Thank you for the insights, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing this develop. You can download the trial right now. That's what I've got here. You can download the trial version. I dropped into Wacom Fondue, and it's got 166 glyphs. You can see over here on the left typography, or the glyph panel here. You've got your basic uppercase, lowercase. You've got two different I don't know. You've got the two different scripts for Georgian. I apologize. I'm not sure what they're actually called. Two different hands, maybe. And then you've got the basic numbers. I do like these numbers too. Let's just drool over this font for a couple seconds real quick. I like the dot in the middle of the in the zero there. Was it needed? No, probably not. Like, I think we could differentiate between these two, but I do like that it's there, and it just kind of continues that vibe of like, we're doing our own thing here. She's got some ink traps in the two. I completely forgot. She's got alternates. See these green letters here? Let me show you this. Latin alternates. We'll go ahead and zoom in on a handful of them right here. Boom. Whoops. Not boom. Boom. There we go. So we've got the single story A, the two story G, and we've got the F that goes down, kind of like an italic F on there. And we've got a little tail on the L. I think all of these are really nice. And you've got an alternate Y there as well. I kind of like this one right here. That feels more like the H to me. But they all look nice. There are some Georgian alternates as well. I don't necessarily understand them, of course, but the one that I can pretty easily recognize here, it says bubbly alternates. And you can see what's happening here. See these little dots here? These are lines on some, or little bubbles on if we turn on the alternates. So that's pretty cool. If you understand what this says, go ahead and, this is just the alphabet. Like, if you understand Georgian, go ahead and let me know what you think of this. And if you only know English or Latin languages, go ahead and let me know what you think of the Latin, because I think that Anna would appreciate some feedback and some encouragement. If you've got some constructive criticism, go ahead and share those as well. But I was really excited about this. I think this is a great release and very affordable. There's not very many times that I'm like just buying a font for no reason, but for $30 on here, I think that there's a very good chance that I might just pick this up, because I think that we'll see some good development. And when this turns into a variable font, I think it's going to be a no-brainer. Let me go ahead and see what we got left here. Just a few quick articles, which is good because we're getting close on time. I did get a little bit of late start, so if we have to go a little over, that's okay. But I appreciate you guys for hanging out here. I know it's Friday. This is from Creative Bloq. This is their list of 6 of the best font identifiers. I have talked about this many times on the channel, but I use What Font. And you can see, click here, Open Sans. It's just an extension. They've got this one listed here, but there were some that I was not familiar with. What the Font, I think this is probably the most famous font identification app, software, program, website, whatever you want to call it, that's out there. It existed prior to Monotype's purchase. Monotype purchased it. I think, I'm like 99% sure on that. Monotype owns it now, and this isn't even me being subjective. Objectively, it's not as good now. And I'm going to do a full, rather than do typography news one of these days, we'll do like a special typography news report on these font identifiers. And I will demonstrate to you why I don't think this is as good as it used to be. The TLDR, the short story, is that What the Font only identifies typefaces that are available for sale on My Fonts, which they do have a huge library, but there can be a very obvious typeface that you load into it that it should be able to recognize because a normal person on typo.social would tell you what it is. and it won't tell you. Instead, it will recommend alternatives, and that's fine too. But I think it would be great if they said, here's what the font is. We don't have it. Here are the alternatives. What font is? This one says it was been around since 2009. Font Ninja. I'm not familiar with that one. I do have that one in my database, but I'm not sure what this is. It looks like it's an extension and also an app. Identifont. This one is an interesting one. It's not quite as intuitive as some of these other ones, as like what my font can do or something like that. You can't just like drop in a picture. What you do is you kind of like answer questions and kind of work your way through it. They'll show you different images and different anatomy of the typeface, and then you kind of work your way towards what font it is. I've had success with it, but it's not going to be as fast as some of these other ones. Rogue Wave Creative says, hey, sir, hope you're doing well. Great content. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, Rogue Wave. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you again. Number 5 is what font. That's what we just talked about here. This is my favorite font extension. Click, get the typeface, move on with your life. And then another one here that I haven't seen before is called Fount. So I do have some other ones in my database that I'm going to go through, but I think it would be good to go through these, kind of test them out and see what the real best one is here. But I appreciate Creative Bloq putting some new ones on my radar. Just a couple of stories left here. I am going to start out with, let's go ahead and do FontBob first. And then I'll send you off with some video content to go check out. FontBob. Last week, we talked about FontBob putting out the variable clock, and I said, like, I don't know how they're doing this. This one is even crazier. This is fontbob.com/layout, linked in description, no affiliation, no sponsorship. As you scroll over this, you can see I'm not doing anything yet. I'm just scrolling over it. You can see these characters changing. That's cool. You've probably seen CSS or JavaScript that's done stuff like that before. This is in selection mode. So it's letting you know, like, no, I apologize. This is instruction mode. Let's refresh here. Change it to selection mode. This is just letting you know that this is actual text. This is text. Let me go ahead and copy this, paste it. You can see it's real text that's on here. So you can select this. If we switch to destruction though, when you mouse down, you can just destroy this typeface. And I don't know, you can sit here for a really long time, just hold it, make it just completely destroyed, and switch back to selection, and boom, you can still select this, and we can paste it, and it still works. Wait, did that copy or not? Let me test it. Copy, paste. Yes, you can still select this. This is still actual text that's on the screen. No idea how they're able to do this. It blows my mind. Maybe some of you are more technically inclined with type design and CSS and things like this, and this is old hat for you. But for me, this just seems crazy. Once again, Carl Enlund, I think I mispronounced his name last time, posted this on Typo Social, and you can see the original inspiration here appropriately from W.A. Dwiggins, W.D. W.A., right? From Dwiggins. I need to W.A. Dwiggins. Am I crazy? Dwiggins. I can't think of. We have to check. I have to check, or I'm going to go crazy. W.A. Dwiggins. Yes, I was right. William Addison Dwiggins. So this original graphic right here is what inspired this. Pretty cool, once again, to see a reference and see like where these things are coming from. And you can see those destroyed letters down there. Probably would have been a lot easier to do there than it is here, because this is just crazy. Go check this out. Have fun with it. It is so wild. I've never seen anything like this where it's actual live text. Okay, last two things I'm going to send you off with here are some videos, and appropriately, like I said, it is Friday the 13th, so I'm going to send you off with the first one here is coming from Remedy667. This is Nick's channel. He does a lot of great horror fonts. If I'm looking for a horror font, this is where I'm going to look. He's always pulling from different inspiration. This one's from 1967 horror film called The Blood of Ghastly Horror. He's always got the movie playing in the background as he's designing these things. The thing that I note about Nick and Remedy 667 is the speed that he works with. It is insane. I do see the chat. I'll get to you in a second. The speed that he works his way through these, and I mean, he's designed hundreds of typefaces. If you're not familiar with Remedy, let me go ahead. Remedy 667 here, and he's got spooky fonts. Go ahead and tile these two side by side. I'll go ahead and respond to chat while we sit here. Anjay Studio, good to see you again. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Said, that's cool, didn't know FontBob had that. Yeah, me either. It's really wild, and I've been really impressed with what Carl's been posting from FontBob. Really fun and just interesting to see people pushing the technical limitations of typeface typography in 2026. So Remedy 667, horror-focused type foundry and marketplace here. I'm pretty sure Nick designs all of these fonts. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but just great specimens, great fun, spooky typefaces. A lot of them are vintage. And then over on the right side here, we've got spooky fonts. I know my face is covering up a little bit of it, but they're all really affordable. You can see $10 here. You know, how much is the Nuns of Brixton here? $27 here. But yeah, he does a lot of alternates. So let's go ahead and just let this play. He does a lot of alternates, so he'll at least have two variations of it. So at least one alternate, sometimes more, of each letter. So you can appropriately set these types of typefaces and know that you're not going to get like two E's next to each other that look exactly the same and just ruin what's going on. I know that these types of display typefaces are not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but why I think you should go check out Remedy 667 and Nick's YouTube channel here is because, one, it's just kind of like a chill thing to have in the background. He's not blabbing as much as me on here, but you can kind of watch the process and see him work through it. And I do think that it's interesting to watch a type designer work in a way that's completely different from the way we see a lot of type designers who build workhorse typefaces and things like that. Like, he's got such a focused niche and he's such a master of his craft, but he's doing something completely different from what most foundries are doing. So I think that it's nice, even if you're never going to design a typeface, just to kind of see someone else be creative in real time. And maybe you'll get some inspiration from that. Like I said, super chill videos on here, post a lot of them. Yeah, go subscribe. He's only got 66 subscribers right now, so I'm sure he would love to have a few more. But I think it's well worth the time and the subscription. It's perfect to kind of put on a second monitor or something like that. I like to watch it when I'm doing dishes and things and just kind of chill out, watch Nick make a typeface. This next one, a little bit more traditionally focused on for type design here, for typography. And this is St. Bride Library. I mentioned, I don't know what episode it was. Maybe I could check here real quick. I'm not sure that it necessarily matters. Nope, I don't have it written down. I mentioned a while back, they uploaded like a full playlist of, They upload these playlists all the time, but they do these big drops where they'll drop like 12 videos at a time, 10 videos at a time. They just dropped all of these right here. So they've got the art of looking. Go ahead and, yeah, my face is okay. They've got a bunch of art of looking videos on here that they dropped. You'll notice some of these names, like click on Eric Speakerman right here. Probably everybody knows him. If you don't, look him up. But yeah, they go through their presentations. He's talking about legible typefaces right here. He's talking about like the ones on the left are not quite as legible. The ones on the right are more legible because they've got more details that differentiate them. They're maybe got different spacing, things like that. Great resource. St. Bride's also deserve way more subscribers than they have, 753. This is like, you know those websites that you pay for like masterclass videos and stuff like that? Like, that's what this is, for free, 148 videos, St. Bride Library. They just dropped 12 new ones in the last 24 hours. So definitely go check that out. They range from like 10 minutes to like an hour and 45 minutes. This freelance one here, it's kind of like a round table. They're talking about the business side of freelance. I don't know if this is going to show up. But yeah, they're doing a roundtable here. So I checked out a few of them. I obviously didn't have time to watch all of these in the last 24 hours, but I think if you want some more typography after you finish watching Typography News, these would be great places to direct your attention. Yeah, so St. Bride, they do like big chunks of videos typically, and they're dropping them all at once. Sometimes they'll drop one at a time, but they're a lot of times you see them upload like 10 or 12 videos at a time. So they're good to be subscribed to kind of get that, not miss those big drops. Nick, Remedy667, he's uploading videos all the time, super chill. I would recommend both of these channels. And that's going to be it. We survived the first week of three times per week. So no Sunday live stream this week. No more Sunday live streams for the foreseeable future. All of March we'll be doing these 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then, you know, hopefully we'll build up from there. I think it's going to take more than 1 month. I originally had said like, I'll try to build up to 5 days a week in April or May, and after the first week, man, it's tough to do these in 48 hours. Onji Studio, let me know if I'm saying your name right, please. Onji Studio says, I've discovered and tried sites similar to FontBob a few days ago, but it's Japanese. It's kind of cool too. It's called Mojisaku. Hopefully I'm saying this kind of right. Let's go ahead and check this out real quick. I'll probably have to check this out off stream. Also, I don't speak Japanese, so I'm not going to have a clue what's going on here. Oh, cool. There is, I'm going to have to add this to my list. I'm going to leave that open. Let me go ahead and give you guys a freebie here. Fonttools.com. This isn't going to be like, oh, sorry, I didn't have the screen on. Let me go ahead and show you what was shared in chat for anybody watching the replay. It does look very nice and clean. Japanese, very interesting. Thank you, Onji. Yes, but it glitched if you translate it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see. When you wrote it in, it translated to something else. Okay. But what I wanted to point out is that there are some other ones on here, experimental font editors. If you go to these, Glypher Studio, Fontra is up here. Yeah, Fontra is like in browser. I played around with Fontra a little bit. Glyphs is a Mac only, RoboFont Mac only font lab you can use everywhere, which is great. But I think these browser focused ones like Fontra and maybe this one here that just got mentioned in chat and FontBob, I think these are kind of the future. I'm not like a huge like browser based one. Fontra does run like local, so you can use this on Mac, Windows, Linux. I think that's probably where I'm gonna put my attention because right now there's not a good alternative other than FontLab for Windows and Linux. But another conversation for another day. I just thought that thank you for the note on the Japanese one. But yeah, I thought that Font Tools was another good resource. Font-tools.com. It's got more than just font editors on there. It's got all kinds of nerdy type nerd tools and things like that. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this stream. I will be back next week for 3 more Typography News episodes, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So no Sunday live stream, but I'll see you guys on Monday. I have been Curtis Simpson. This was Typography News number 39. Happy Friday the 13th. Have a good weekend. I will see you all on Monday.